On the news, former CBN Governor Charles Soludo sworn in as Anambra State Governor at low-key event. Senate passes bill to amend Money Laundering Act. And WHO warns against relaxing COVID-19 protocols, says pandemic not over yet. We're glad to have you join us to news now. I am Folashade Ogurinde. Chukwuma Charles Soludo has been sworn in as the 5th governor of Anambra State in a modest event that took place at the Government House on Thursday. Taking over from Willie Obiano, the former Central Bank of Nigeria CBN governor took the oath of office alongside his deputy Onyeka Mbezim. In his inaugural speech, Soludo was the candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance ABGA and won the Anambra governorship election with 112,229 votes in 2021. Promised to hit the ground running, saying some key members of his government will be announced soon.
God ordained this moment, and we are grateful to him and to you all for the privilege to serve you. Dr. Ibezim and I will work very hard every day to make you proud. I ask millions of Anambra all over the world who have prayed for today to simply say a 1-minute prayer to commit this journey and Anambra State onto the hands of the Almighty God. We had more than a month since the election to celebrate our historic victory. Now is the time to work, and there is no minute or kobo to waste in fanfare. In a few minutes, I will announce some of the principal officers of my administration and commence with serious meetings of the Anambra Security Council, followed by a meeting with the permanent secretaries, a meeting on Okpoko, and with my strategy execution and evaluation team. Within the next 1 week, the list of commissioners will be laid before the House of Assembly. Tomorrow, we will head to Okpoko in Obaru local government area and parts of Onitsha and Indemili as we signpost our commitment to fundamental urban regeneration, beginning with the greater Onitsha metropolis.
During Soludo's inauguration, drama, however, ensued between Ebelechukwu, wife of ex-governor Willie Obiano, and Bianca, wife of late Odomegu Ojukwu. The altercation reportedly occurred when Obiano went over to where Ojukwu was sitting, and the situation degenerated with both women exchanging words. Security personnel at the venue quickly intervened and pulled them apart. The federal government has disclosed that it was considering 3 options, which include litigation to address the refusal by the National Assembly to delete Section 8412 of the Electoral Act 2022, as requested by President Muhammadu Buhari. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami who made the announcement during a briefing after the Federal Executive Council meeting on Wednesday, revealed that although a definite decision had not been taken on the issue, the federal government would explore all necessary options available concerning the act. President Muhammadu Buhari last month drew the attention of the leadership of the National Assembly to Section 8412 of the Electoral Act 2022 and requested that the section should be deleted through a process of amendment. The section required political appointees to resign their appointment before participating in primary elections as either delegates or candidates. To talk more on this, Liberos Oshoma, legal practitioner, joins me on the news. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, it seems the federal government is battle ready to have its request granted, but there's a bone of contention that is Clause 8412 really disenfranchise political appointees who are members of political parties.
I would answer you yes and no. First and foremost, I will say that the federal government is not battle ready. This is not how to be battle ready. That bill was rejected, I think, sometimes last week. And as I speak, apart from a mere opinion expressed by the Attorney General, there is no definite decision by the federal government on what to do, on how they intend to challenge it if they feel, it was improperly thrown away. That said, there have been argument for and against of that section. In one breath, I would say yes, it actually disenfranchised, political appointees. In another breath, I would say no, it doesn't. in as far as party politics is concerned, it disenfranchises, political appointees and does not give a level playing field, to all of the political gladiators. A situation where the governors, for example, deputy governors, and lawmakers, president and vice president, can retain their appointment, their seats, while contesting for party politics, while every other person, including ministers appointed and all other persons appointed, are asked to resign, does not create a level playing field. And then if you look at it from another breadth, you would say it does not. You can, in one breath, also say that it does not, exclude them from participating. It only says if you want to participate, you would resign your seat. So, but if we're talking about creating a level playing field, then let everybody just resign and then go slug it out in the field. That's what some persons have suggested. But I think, head or tail, first and foremost, we need to actually define, whether political appointment, can be included in the rules. Even though the Court of Appeal has excluded them, the political appointment can be regarded, as public servants or civil servants for the purpose of excluding them from participating in party politics. It is left for the Supreme Court to decide. That's why, for me, I think rather than all this passive opinion on it, the Attorney General should have been at the Supreme Court by now, asking for a determination of that provision, whether it actually interferes with the provisions of the Constitution.
Now, speaking of the Supreme Court now, if the case gets to this, the highest court, what's the chance, or what are the chances that the presidency would have the upper hand?
First and foremost, it is even belated because if most of these people, if they don't resign their appointment now, between now and the 3rd of June or so, there might be, these parties might have issues, they might have problems, because you ought to resign at least before the due date for conduct of primaries. And so, at least I think 3 months or so before conduct of primaries. And so, by INEC, by virtue of INEC timetable, I think 3rd of June is the deadline within which any of them would need to resign. That said, if the matter gets to Supreme Court, I do not think that it's a matter of the presidency getting the upper hand or the executive getting the upper hand. It's a matter of, argument, superior argument, not necessarily sentiment. It's a matter of laying bare the provisions of the law in as far as either argument is concerned. And already, in one breath, there is a Court of Appeal decision to support that, the argument of the executive. I think that one happened in the case of Ekiti. Remember when Fayemi was a minister for Mines and Steel or so, that had to resign his appointment to go contest as a governor. But if you ask for my opinion, really, I think we should restrict the persons that should participate in party politics and still hold their appointment. Because what basically is at the crux of the matter here is a situation where for governors to use the offices of political appointment, to oust their opponent during primaries. And that's why you find out governors will appoint 2,000 special advisors, special assistant to special assistant, and all of them become statutory delegates during political primaries. And then once you have such powers to bring in such numbers, there is no way your opponent can actually, compete with you during primaries. And so, but if we limit the numbers of people that can still retain their seats and then vie for primaries or become party delegates, then I think we would have probably balanced the whole issue. But this idea of a blanket, everybody resigning, might actually create problems.
Indeed, Libera Soshama, legal practitioner, thank you very much for your contribution. As part of government strategies to combat corruption, the Senate has passed a bill that seeks to amend the Money Laundering Act 2011. The proposed amendment in the bill makes it mandatory for banks and other financial institutions to report any single transaction or lodgement in excess of 5 million naira for an individual and 10 million naira in the case of a corporate body. The passage of the Money Laundering Amendment Bill 2022 followed the consideration and adoption of the report by Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes on the bill. The bill, sponsored by Senator Abdul Kwari, will help in the fight against corruption, money laundering and terrorism, especially since the extant Money Laundering Act could not meet the required international standard.
Stakeholders support the passage of this bill in view of its importance and relevance to the anti-corruption drive of the present administration, as well as the time-bound relevance of the FATF expectations. The enactment of this bill will also resolve the institutional issues regarding establishment of the Special Control Unit against Money Laundering, SCUMO, under the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment, being implemented by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. That the bill seeks to introduce certain supervisory and enforcement mechanisms through the imposition of the administrative penalties for breach of any requirement imposed by the law.
A person shall not conduct two or more transactions separately with one or more financial institutions or designated non-financial businesses or professions with the intent, that's the issue, with the intent to avoid duty of reporting the transactions and in order to breach the duty to disclose information.
For an act to repeal the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2011 as amended and enact the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022 to provide comprehensive legal and institutional framework for the prevention and prohibition of money laundering in Nigeria, establish the Special Control Unit under the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and for other related matters 2022, third reading taken, and the bill is hereby passed.
The House of Representatives has urged the federal government to consider automatic employment for first-class graduates of Nigerian universities and other institutions. This followed the adoption of a motion by a member of the House of Reps, Emeka Chinedu, at plenary in Abuja. Presenting the motion, Chinedu expressed concern over lack of employment for many Nigerian graduates, especially first-class degree holders, forcing them to seek greener pastures abroad. According to him, automatic employment for first-class graduates would motivate other students to work harder.
First-class graduates are mostly needed in all fields of human endeavor, especially in Nigeria, where they can contribute in their areas of competence, such as economic planning, manufacturing, small and medium-scale enterprise, engineering and infrastructure, etc. He has also believed that such automatic offer of a job for first-class graduates will not only be the source of motivation for students in all fields to work harder, but maximizing their potential in preparation for their different economic roles, future leadership position, and ultimately reduce unemployment while helping to achieve development targets.
If you make it a motion and the House have to compel that we should make people with first class get automatic job, Mr. Speaker, you are in Nigeria, that will be craze for first class. And it will be much better that we identify in which area of this first class are we talking about. Is it in the area of technology? Or is this that if I read Hausa, I become first class, I should just be given an automatic employment?
Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Do you want me to repeat it? The ayes have it.
The national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Iyorchia Ayu, has appealed to party members across the country to stay united to ensure the party's success at all times. Ayu made the plea at an expanded meeting of the PDP Board of Trustees and the party's National Executive Committee, NEC, in Abuja. Ayu's plea to the party faithful comes against the backdrop of the rift between Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State and Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State.
The NWC under my leadership is calling on all our leaders and members of the party, not just in Ekiti and Osun State, but all over the country to join us in fighting for those elections, because they are winnable if we put aside our differences and make sure that we work as a team to win those elections. Those elections are important for several reasons. First of all, they will give confidence back to our members. The fact that we made a mistake along the line and Nigerians lost confidence doesn't mean that that is impossible. It is still possible, because with unity, everything is possible. I call on every member of this party to forget their differences. If there are differences, we must settle such differences in-house. No party member should attack another party member. If there are any issues, we have different organs of the party to resolve party differences. We work tirelessly. We are talking to individual members who have differences among themselves, whether in the wards, whether in the local governments, whether in the states or the national level, because such distractions must not be allowed to continue.
The presidential ambition of the national leader of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has received a boost following endorsement by the House of Representatives caucus of the party. The former Lagos State governor was accompanied to the National Assembly by dozens of supporters and loyalists as it sought the lawmakers' counsel, partnership and support, saying he has the capacity and experience to lead the country. The APC caucus in the House of Representatives gave an overwhelming voice vote to express their endorsement for Tinubu's presidential aspiration, just as the Speaker of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, said Tinubu needs no introduction, as he and other like minds put APC together and ensured its victory in the 2015 and 2019 general elections.
I'm the only one in the race. I did know that is most competent, most qualified to be your president come year 2020.
For the presidency of this great country, that we have only seen one person running up and down, going, traveling the length and breadth of Nigeria, giving to respect to whom respect is due, selling his wares, marketing his trade, delivering his message. I personally think it is wrong that for a country such as ours, we are only hearing names and nobody else is campaigning.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the leader of the APC in Nigeria, has everything it takes to be the president of the Federal Republic. You have what it takes to aspire. You have what it takes to run. You also have what it takes both in terms of intellectual
to win
and capacity. Capacity covers every other aspect of human capacity to be the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Well, we'll take a break here, but still to come, federal government to issue new policy on trade over war between Russia and Ukraine. Details of this story and more right after this break.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the president of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians are saying in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Welcome back. Now here is a recap of some of our top stories tonight. Former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Chukwuma Charles Soludo, has been sworn in as the 5th governor of Anambra State in a modest event that took place at the Government House on Thursday. During the inauguration, drama, however, ensued between Ebelechukwu, wife of ex-governor Willie Obiano, and Bianca, wife of late Odumegu Ojukwu, with both women exchanging words. We also told you that the Senate has passed a bill that seeks to amend the Money Laundering Act 2011. The proposed amendment in the bill makes it mandatory for banks and other financial institutions to report any single transaction or lodgement in excess of 5 million naira for an individual and 10 million naira in the case of a corporate body. Well, in case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. The World Health Organization, WHO, has warned against relaxing COVID-19 protocols, noting that the pandemic is not over as cases are increasing globally. Our briefing journalist in Geneva, Director General of the WHO, Tedros Ghebreyesus, disclosed that after several weeks of declines, reported cases of COVID-19 were once again increasing globally, especially in parts of Asia. The WHO chief revealed that in the past week, there's been an 8% increase in detection of COVID-19 cases, with more than 11 million positive test results.
After several weeks of declines, reported cases of COVID-19 are once again increasing globally, especially in parts of Asia. These increases are occurring despite reductions in testing in some countries, which means the cases we're seeing are just the tip of the iceberg. And we know that when cases increase, so do deaths. Continued local outbreaks and surges are to be expected, particularly in areas where measures to prevent transmission have been lifted. However, there are unacceptably high levels of mortality in many countries, especially where vaccination levels are low among susceptible populations. Each country is facing a different situation with different challenges, but the pandemic is not over. I repeat, the pandemic is not over.
I will take a break here and return with more stories in business, the foreign scene, and sports. To stay with us. Welcome back. Well, up next is business news and stock market review with Bisola Adebayo. Over to you, Bisola.
Thank you very much, Folashade. Welcome to Business News. Following the outbreak of war between Russia and Ukraine, the federal government has hinted that it is working on a new policy on trade with both countries with whom it shares important mutual trade relations. The Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Niyi Adebayo, disclosed this on Thursday while appearing on the weekly interministerial press briefing organized by the Presidential Communications team at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Speaking on the ministry's target on sufficient domestic supply and exportation, Adebayo noted that about 5% of sugar consumed in Nigeria is produced locally and the country is working towards exporting the product.
We have mandated our Trade Department to do an analysis, to look at all the issues involved and to come up with a report. And once that report is ready, like I stated, I will be presenting it to Mr. President. After presentation to Mr. President, I shall come here and brief you. To my knowledge, Nigeria does not import raw sugar from Ukraine. At the present moment, our sugar intake in Nigeria is we import 1.7 million tons of raw sugar every year. At the present moment, we are only manufacturing, yes, less than 5%, right? Less than 5% of that is locally manufactured. So it gives us an opportunity to build up what we are manufacturing.
We'll take a break now and return with a review of the stock market. Equities trading at the Nigerian Exchange Limited on Thursday swayed southwards as the market reversed its previous day positive outing to close on a negative note. Specifically, investors lost over 6 billion naira in today's session as the market capitalization was pegged at 25 trillion naira. The all-share index therefore dipped by a marginal 0.02% to close at 47,353 basis points. Actually, losses majorly in the financial services sector contributed mostly to the market's bearish close. From the rear of the chart of equities today, Niger Insurance PLC shed the most weight to lead the laggers chart, and it is flanked by Cornest Insurance. They both had a combined 6 kobo loss. On the flip side, as our top gainers for today, USCM PLC was the best performing stock in the session, and it is closely followed by Royalex right here, where our market summary sees a total volume of 239 million units of shares valued at 3 billion naira, exchanging hands in 3,848 deals. Actually, the market was gaining yesterday, but obviously that was a dead cat bounce, and as we can see, that game was not sustained. Anyways, tomorrow's trading will determine either this week will close bullish or bearish. On the foreign scene, that's the FTSE, the Dow Jones and the Nikkei. They are all in the positive territory. UK's FTSE ended gains on Thursday as oil majors lifted the commodity heavy index, while the Bank of England raised interest rates as expected and struck a less hawkish tone on further hikes. US stocks turned positive also in the aftermath of a pivotal day on Wall Street, marked by the Federal Reserve's long-anticipated move to hike short-term interest rates for the first time in 3 years. And in the same vein, Japan stocks Nikkei is closing positive, recording 3.46% increase at the end of the day's trading. That's all on stock market reports. Back to you, Folashade, for the rest of the news.
Well, many thanks, Bisola, for that update. And now on the foreign scene, authorities in Mozambique's northern Nampula province says the death toll from a cyclone that lashed northern Mozambique last week has risen to 53, following an announcement by the National Disaster Relief Agency that 20 people were killed due to the storm in the coastal Nampula province. Within the same day, 31 more deaths were confirmed in the province's Mosurio district. Tens of thousands of people have been affected by the cyclone in Nampula, Mozambique's most populous province. Health officials described the situation as grim, adding that local authorities were working to establish the exact number of victims. On the sporting scene, Nigeria's Super Falcons are set to face Canada in a pair of exhibition games scheduled for April. The friendly games, announced in a statement on the Canada Football Association's website, will see the Falcons' first take on Canada April 8th at BC Place in Vancouver, while the second leg will be held 3 days later at the Starlight Stadium in Langford. The games are in honor of Kristen Sinclair, who led Canada to an Olympic gold medal win at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games in August 2021. The two-match series will also mark a farewell to Stephanie Labbe, who will wrap up her professional and international career as one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And that's the size of our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I am Fola Shadi Ogurinde. Bye for now.